This clip is brought to you by 8 Sleep Mattresses, the temperature-controlled Tesla of beds that automates your sleep. Sleep better and enjoy this clip. Now, you've brought up mitochondrial health multiple times, and we've had a few people talk about it a bit, but we haven't had anyone focus on that specifically. So what are people doing that is putting them in a mitochondrial inefficient state? And then what are the things that can be done? There's probably too many things, but what are things that can be done that you help people with to get into a mitochondrial efficient state?
Yeah, so for keeping it simple, one of the most important factors for producing energy is we need enough nutrients. So not only do we need the substrate, which is basically the fuel, right? So that's normally going to be either carbs or fat, but we also need various micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals, in order to produce energy. So on the simplest sense, and this is something I think a lot of people can get on board with, if we don't have enough of a certain B vitamin, let's say it's thiamine or niacin, we're not going to be able to effectively produce energy with the carbohydrates that are coming in or the fat that's coming in. So that would be just a simple area where if we're eating a diet that includes adequate nutrient density, that's going to go a very long way, and especially if we're resolving any potential nutrient deficiencies. That's going to go a long way for producing energy effectively. There's a handful of others that we can dig into. So I would say that the fat composition of the food that's coming in, so looking at the saturation, monounsaturated, saturated versus polyunsaturated fats, that tends to have a big effect on how well we're producing energy in our mitochondria. The type of fuel that's coming in, carbs versus fats, there's certainly some differences there in terms of energy production. We also have environmental factors, right? So I mentioned sunlight earlier. Sunlight's something that's really great for stimulating our energy production. The presence of various toxic components in our food, and when I say toxin, I mean that, that's such a buzzword, and probably some people have a pretty negative reflex. I'm talking about, a legitimate, whether we're talking some certain type of pesticide or mercury or cadmium. I mean, these things are actually toxic, and they actually inhibit our ability to produce energy in our mitochondria. We also have toxin production from our own intestines. So if we're dealing with gut dysbiosis, if we have overgrowths of harmful bacteria, we feed those with fibers that are coming in. Those are going to produce, again, literal toxins. So one of the most commonly talked about is called endotoxin or lipopolysaccharide, also called LPS. And this is something that's normally so potently toxic that in research, they use LPS to determine if something can be anti-inflammatory or if it can be protective. They'll introduce the LPS to a cell, it'll have a defensive reaction, and they'll see, all right, does this other agent protect against it? This is also one of the main reasons why infection will kill you is from something like endotoxin. So, and it'll cause like sepsis, for example, if someone has really extreme infection. So we can have very mild levels of endotoxin. It's called endotoxemia, but like very mild endotoxemia. That's seen in obesity, it's seen in diabetes, it's seen in fatty liver disease. And so that would be another area of focus, getting our gut health right, so we're not producing these toxins that directly inhibit our ability to produce energy in the mitochondria.
And how do you have people, by the way, like test their gut? Like we had Dan Garner on who literally does stool tests, right? But when you're working with people and you want to attack the gut or see maybe what you can adjust there, what are the ways you go about it? Do you just add certain types of foods that may be good into their diet, or do you go through having them get labs done to see what you change?
Normally labs and stool testing aren't my starting place. I'll use those if someone's getting stuck somewhere and we need some more information, or we aren't seeing the expected improvements from a certain intervention. But normally symptoms are a pretty clear indication of what's going on, at least to start. They'll give us a good starting place. So if someone is feeling bloated after their meals, they have a lot of gas, and these are things that a lot of people live with and don't know are not normal or not healthy. Those could be pretty clear signs of overgrowth of certain types of bacteria or certain fungus in the intestines. Various like other symptoms like stool consistency, how frequently you're going to the bathroom. Those are all pretty clear signs that we can use at least as a starting place for gut health, and we can then make changes and see if those things improve.
Can the mitochondria be changed or helped or be more efficient through exercise, through lifting and running and things like that?
Yes and no. So there are some specifics that certainly matter there. I would say as a baseline, yes, consistent movement is incredibly helpful. So not being sedentary, I think, is where the vast majority of benefits come from when it comes to exercise. So just consistent movement. And I would say for the most part, it doesn't even matter too much what it is. There's a lot of research even showing that very mild activity, things like, physical activities around the house, gardening, cleaning, things like that. If you are consistently doing that and just not sedentary, that leads to huge benefits. And so There are certainly details, right? And we can get into some of the minutia there as far as certain types of resistance training or certain protocols. But normally I would say the biggest factor is just not being sedentary. And that affects, I mean, that's not only because of direct effects on mitochondria, but if we're talking gut health, for example, and you're sitting all the time, that's a reduction in blood flow, reduction in lymph flow, circulations, also compression on the abdomen. None of those things are ideal when it comes to gut health.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, go ahead and comment down below and let us know what you liked about it. All right. Share this with a friend. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And also, we are on Reddit and Discord. All that's down below. All our sponsors and everyone that supports us down below there too. So you can get whatever you like from us. All right. Peace.